And then, oh, he loved this one. And something clicked during this. Hey guys, how are you all doing? I am running on no sleep per usual, but other than that, doing pretty good today. We are just going to be chatting about William's learning journal because I've gotten some questions about it, kind of like how often, where do I get my ideas, my thoughts on it all. So I figured I would just kind of go through it and share everything we've done. I think there's about 50 in here, so there'll be some different ideas you guys can use with your kiddos. Before we get started though, I feel like I kind of have to touch on a little bit of drama. I don't know if drama is the right word, but there was a little bit of drama, I think mainly on TikTok, a couple months back, actually like a month after I started this. And it was a lot of moms, I don't want to say shaming other moms by saying like, don't do worksheets, don't do learning journals because kids should be learning through play, which I 100% agree with. Kids should be learning through play the majority of the time. But as they get older, especially if you're planning on putting them in school, like they have to learn these skills eventually. They need to be able to hold a crayon or a pencil. They need to understand how to follow the directions on something like this and whatnot. I think the key is balance, and we do maybe 2 or 3 learning journals a week. And honestly, my kiddo asks for more, and I'm like, oh, we're gonna go play. We're gonna go read a book, you know, do a different activity. Because if you're new here, hi, my name's Elena. I have a almost 3.5-year-old named William, and then a 10-month-old named Jet. And I have been doing a little preschool homeschool situation for my 3-year-old. We just spend like 20 to 30 minutes learning every day, and it's pretty laid back. Some days we do less, some days we do more. A lot of games, a lot of crafts, and then some of the learning journal. So let's just go ahead and get started because I could ramble on that forever, but that is just my general viewpoint on the matter. Okay, so I'm popping in because I forgot to mention that when we started the learning journal, William was 2 months away from turning 3, and I'll put on the screen all the things I was kind of focusing on. And then after 3 months of doing that, and he had just turned 3, we started doing the letters, which I wasn't focusing on writing the letters. I was focusing on letter recognition and letter sounds. So there you go. I started out super simple on his first day of school. You guys have all seen this one, but it's matched the shapes. So I just cut them out of construction paper, traced them with a marker, and this was the first time using a glue stick, and he was figuring it out, had to turn the star to match, things like that. We also went over the names of the shapes, which he knew most of them, but we were adding in rectangle and diamond at that point. And then match the bugs. At the beginning, I was really careful about the topics. I wanted him to be interested. I wanted him to do school, and I know he loves bugs. So it's pretty self-explanatory, but love this one and asked to do it again. And I actually drew it out again on a separate piece of paper, and we did it. This one, we were working on our counting, and super easy to set up. I think it took me like 2 minutes to cut this out, and it doesn't have to be perfect, guys. That's one thing. I'm a perfectionist, and I wanted all my cutouts, all my drawings to be perfect, but no one has time for that. And unless you're like an artist, no one can do that efficiently and effectively. But also, your cone is not going to be straight. They're not going to be perfectly stacked scoops. But the key is he got 1, 2, 3 and the cherry on top, and that is all that matters. And my perfectionist, type A mom, like, has to sometimes zip my lip. This didn't bug me that much, but as we go on, you'll see. Looks like we lost a sticker, or a couple of them, but you'll get the gist. He just added the correct number of stickers next to the number, and then down here we have dot stickers that he had to match with the correct number of stars. And this is really simple for both fine motor skills because he had to peel the sticker and put them on, but also number recognition and counting. Now we're on to Halloween. So everything's Halloween in this house for a while because my 3-year-old is obsessed. He loved this one, Color the Spiders. You have a little key at the top, which I haven't mentioned this yet, but I always, or tried to always, put the directions at the top because it's learning a lot of things. 1, that you have to follow directions. 2, you read left to right. I always try and point, color the spiders. Eventually he'll recognize, the words, the letters, all of that. But right now it's a really easy way to be like, nope, this is what we're doing when he just wants to start coloring. Oh, but that's not what it says. It says to color the spiders. The triangles are green, and I just go through the directions if he wants to do something a little different. And yeah, this is what it looks like. Next up, this one he did struggle with a little bit. Circled the big one. He just was, I think, didn't fully understand what we were doing because he could identify the big one, but he didn't understand to circle it. I should have done this from the get-go and done an example like this, but I didn't. But you know, hindsight's 2020. But if I were to do this again for the first time, I would say, circle the big one. Okay, here's some acorns. I think this one's bigger. I'm gonna circle it. I circled the big one, and then kind of prompt him to do the rest, walk him through it if I need to. How many seeds? Another number recognition with the dot stickers. Dot stickers are just like another way to switch it up because they can't write the numbers, but they can still pick them out. This one is match the pumpkin, just like the bugs. And honestly, I feel like people are overcomplicating this. The number one question that I get is, where do I get my ideas? And my ideas are sometimes from Pinterest, sometimes things I see online, but often it's like, what is he into right now? He's into Halloween. Okay, what can I count for Halloween? I can count pumpkin seeds. Let's do that. Or I take something that I've seen online and tweak it to the theme or tweak it to whatever we're learning about. This one is actually one that I just came up with on my own because I wanted to see his drawing skills and I was trying to figure out a way to like test that because I knew he was getting better at holding the crayon and into coloring. He was actually into coloring for the first time ever. He's always like painting but not coloring. So I said, you know what? Let's see if he can draw a face on the pumpkin. And guys, I was so impressed and so proud. I know it looks like nothing, but I'll show you. So I said, put a face on the pumpkin. Here are your crayons. Let's put a face on the pumpkin. The body was not here. He actually, funny story, a little side tangent for you. He refused to put a face on the pumpkin until it had a body. Because it wasn't a person until it had a body. He said, okay, we'll do a body. And I just said, okay, here's his body, here's his leg, and then it needed fingers and toes. So then we counted 5 fingers and 5 toes. So like I was trying to implement other things as we did that, counting and whatnot. But then I had to go get his little brother from a nap. So I said, okay, you draw the face. I come back and I was just, I was honestly shocked because I'd never seen him draw like this ever. It's just been scribbles, which it is scribbly, but he said there's 2 eyes, which you can see 2 circles here, eyebrows, which I was pumped about, and there's the mouth. Not too shabby. I actually want to kind of do more open-ended stuff like this more often to see his progression. I don't think I've done many. This one, this day I had absolutely nothing planned because I normally plan for 4 days and he wanted to do something on a Friday and I'm like, okay, well, let's just go with it. Open up Learning Journal. I wrote out our numbers and our shapes and we went over them all. And review day. This was similar. Just matching. So he matched the letters in his name and the numbers. You can really do this with anything. You can make it fun with pictures and stuff, like match the apples on the tree. You can do whatever you want, but repetition is key with little ones, and that's what I've been trying to do. And honestly, they don't get bored of it. This was actually after Halloween, and we sorted Skittles. And then we also did Skittle, is it on here? It's next, yes. We did Skittle patterns. So he had to add the Skittles to the pattern and he really liked that actually. And then we did a little Skittle experiment also. I think he drew a pumpkin, I want to say. Not quite sure. And then another one we did after trick or treat because I was like trying to ride that Halloween train out because he loves Halloween. We did shortest to tallest for candy. So we had a trick-or-treat candy and we just lined them up shortest to tallest. We talked about taste, texture, type, soft, hard, all of the things. I also was trying to just get rid of the candy without eating it. So yeah, experiments and things are helpful for that. And then you'll see we only did one Thanksgiving thing because like I said, I don't do these that often. I really try and do more hands-on things. But we made a turkey with his name. This is one of those perfectionist things. I'm like, please. I want it straight and beautiful, but who cares? He loves it. He actually asked me to frame it. I never did. I need to. We're on to Christmas. Another pattern. So he just filled in the red light and the green light, and then he asked to put stickers on them. So I gave him dot stickers. I mean, he just was kind of making up his own activity. Anything like that, I say, go for it. Yes. He showed initiative to be creative and make his own game. go for it every time. Even if we're like in a rush to get somewhere, I'm like, that can wait. He's into school right now. We are going to capitalize on it. Okay, so now we did a Christmas tree, kind of like those spiders. He just had to color the presents, and he actually really liked this one too. You see how much he filled it in, and he asked me, can we do more presents? Can we do more presents? All right, this one's our first dot marker one. It was add the Christmas lights to the light strand. I showed him a couple different things because this is the first time he ever saw dot markers. He still isn't really a fan. I don't know if he just doesn't care or he doesn't really understand how cool they can be, but I've been slowly trying to show him. You'll see more dot markers later. He just kind of like doesn't care and like he's done in 10 seconds. So, which me as my type A person, even as a little kid, I'd be like perfectly on the little notches. Oh my gosh, this one is such a hit. And honestly, I do this with almost every theme. So this is go on a gift hunt, really any scavenger hunt, whatever you're learning. You can use letters, numbers, shapes, even just items if you're like learning vocabulary. Got those little miniature gifts at the dollar store, and then I put dot stickers on them 1 through 10. He hunted for it, so he would find one, and I'd be like, okay, what number is that? It's the number 4. He'd come and color it in like a checklist, which checking things off a list is a skill. All these little itty bitty skills that we do every day, like they have to learn, and this is a fun way to do it. We did Christmas lights 1 through 6. He was working on his gluing skills and his number recognition. And then this one he loved, and we actually did this again and hung it up on the wall because he wanted to do it again. So I just had different strips of paper and he had to put them biggest to smallest to make a tree, and then he decided to color it. I wasn't even expecting him to color it, but he wanted to decorate it, and so he did. Oh, on this side, he wanted me to draw the Christmas tree that he had in his room. It's like a little $10 tree from what am I saying? From Target, and he wanted me to draw it. So I said, okay, describe it to me and I'll draw it, and that's what we did. So that was kind of a fun little activity that just came about randomly. Another Christmas tree idea, similar stacking situation, was names. I obviously did this one, but we were talking about his name and the letters in his name, and we started with W, and I wrote W, W-I, W-I. We went down the list and we just did it together, and he watched me do it. He just soaked the whole thing in, and he loved it. Last but not least, another stacking tree with dot markers. So this is just, honestly, that's a good example to show you. I saw this stacking tree situation on Pinterest, that very first one, this one. And not only did we do it, but we did it 2 other times. So just tweak it and they don't know the difference. I love it. We did match the hats because we were talking about winter and all the things that you wear to keep warm. Match the snowflakes. I don't know if you can tell, but I just printed these out and glued half, and it's like a little mini puzzle. This one he had to add the correct number of dots to the mittens. At first, I don't know if he knew what we were doing, but he caught on eventually because you can tell number 1 is kind of a little wonky, but that's okay. And then this I actually did kind of as a precursor because this was the first week that we had a true theme, which was winter, and I wanted him to have kind of this like review sheet because that's what I planned on doing down the road when we started to learn letters, which you'll see in just a minute. We'll start on letters next. So the word winter was the only thing on the page. We were just talking about winter, and I let him lead the conversation. He said that you wear a coat in winter. I drew a coat. Talked about mittens. I drew mittens. He said sometimes it snows. I said, oh, how does it get to the ground? Well, it falls from the sky like rain. Okay. You got snowflakes falling from the sky like rain. He wanted to make a snowman. His snowman always has a scarf apparently. So that's what we did. And this is kind of like a review. And he likes to go back and look at this, which was exactly my point. And like I said, this is kind of a test run. You will see. So the first letter we did was W. Me wanting to be organized and, you know, a type A person, I wanted to teach him A, B, C, D, E, F, G. However, there are many, this is a whole different video, which honestly, this topic is a whole different video, which we can get into. But mind you, I am just a mom trying to do the best for my kiddo. So I just do some research and figure out what's best for him. There is a suggested order to teach the letters. And then some say you just teach the letter sounds, not the name. Some people say you teach the name, then the sounds. Some people say all lowercase. Some people say both. It's kind of like, I did a mix of everything because of how I was watching William react to me teaching letters. So like I said, that'd be a whole different video. But I started with W because the number one thing I saw across the board with my research is start with the most important letter to your kiddo, because they're not going to remember if it's not fun or important to them. So we did W because obviously, I have one right there. Obviously, William starts with W. He knows the W sound, and it was just easy. He can say the W sound, which is very important before you teach a sound. Like, don't teach them S if they literally can't say S, because they're not going to be able to reiterate it to you or read it. So anyway, we started very slow with the letter W, and I just tried to like sprinkle it in to our crafts, our games, our books, and just also out in the wild, just like, hey, is that a W? Oh my goodness, just like your name, you know, stuff like that. This is a whole different topic. Let's get back onto the learning journal. If you guys want a video on that, or a video about learning through play, or what a homeschool week looks like for us, very laid back preschool homeschool week, let me know down in the comments. I am here to make all of that because I've watched the videos and read blogs that have been super, super helpful while navigating this. Anyway, we did for the W week learning journal wise, we did add the wheels to the cars, and he just did dot stickers and matched the colors to the cars. And one thing we talked about is, oh my goodness, well that looks different. That W is sideways. It looks different than a normal W. So that was kind of a little lesson. And then, oh, he loved this one. I just took his little ruler from a game he has, and we measured them. And it was really fun. And we did this probably 3 or 4 times throughout that week, because the next day when we said, okay, it's time for school, he goes, can we do the worms again? Why not? Worms start with W. Sure, let's measure them again. So this is where the winter thing came in that you guys saw. It just had the letters on the page. And I'm like, let's try and think of as many words as we can that start with the letter W. 90% was him, probably because he's remembering the things we did throughout the week. Not necessarily he's like, oh, whale starts with W. He's remembering the game we did about whales. That is making sense, but that's what I want. I want him to remember things like that, make it fun, make it important to them. They will remember. So that's why we did this. I just added in like wagon and I think worm, because I wanted him to remember those things. I knew he enjoyed those 2 activities, so I added those in to kind of jog his memory. We went on to the letter A next. So he just added apples to the tree. So this tree had a red apple, a yellow apple, and a green apple, and he used dot markers. Like I said, he's not that into dot markers. Kind of had to like push him to do that one, but that's okay. Add the apples to the baskets. And I gave him some uppercase and lowercase a's, and he sorted this. And I think this was really helpful for him to understand that there is an uppercase and a lowercase, which I am teaching them at the same time. Not suggested, but there are reasons to that. Whole different topic. We were talking about ants, and so I don't know why they're there. He must have asked me about ants. Who knows? So we have finished the ant pattern, and I knew he wasn't going to be able to draw an ant perfectly, but I wanted to see what he would do, and that was his ant. So there we go. Ants on a log. We also had the snack ants on the log. And just like W, we created an A page. You like my drawings? I actually want to add an axolotl because he just learned what that is and he loves it. So I need to add an axolotl to this page. Before I continue about this though, I do use these pages every single Monday now as a review. We kind of go through the ones, I don't know how often we'll do this because we've now done 6 letters and it doesn't take a long time, but once we get up to like knowing 10 letters, it might take a while to get through them. But I just go through all of these review pages and he doesn't want me saying anything. He goes, ah, A says ah, apple, ant, ah, alligator, and he goes through everything on the page for all the letters that we've done this for. So he is enjoying it. This is one I hadn't done yet, and I don't know why, because you can use this for any theme, which is Trace the Line. Really good for pre-writing skills. And if your kiddo is not into coloring, can't really hold the crayon or marker, whatever yet, you can just trace with your finger. That's actually really helpful for pre-writing too. So we obviously went to the letter B now. So you'll see a lot of bugs and bees. And this is another dot marker. He doesn't care. He just wants to dot, and like literally 30 seconds of dot, he's done. But the idea was add bubbles to the bubble wands, because we did a lot of bubble play for B week. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then he kind of went crazy. So there's that. Maybe we'll try it again later. And here is the letter B. I could probably go in and add some more, but I'm trying to let him take the lead on this, so it's things that he is, like things that are important to him. All right, this isn't really a learning journal, but I saw him not being so excited about letters, so I said, let me show him what letters are used for. And so we were reading the only things he could read. So ba and wah. And something clicked during this because he was into letters again. C is for cookie. Underneath was like the letter 4, letter 5. You know, he had to glue it on the corresponding letter. And we were learning a lot about glue, because I didn't use a glue stick. I used squeezy glue. Whole nother ball game. Decorate the cupcake. He really went for it. He was like focused on this one. Focused. And then we have our C, or our K. On to D, which I feel like the need to explain. I did go from W, and then I went A, B, C, D. The reasoning, W is most important to him, and then he had already been able to recognize A, B, and C, just because like the alphabet and seeing it everywhere. So we did A, B, C, and then I was gonna do a different letter. I was gonna go with the suggested list after that, but he told me he wanted to know the letter that Dad starts with, so that's why we did D next. So here's Dino. He added the spikes. He loved this one because he loves dinosaurs. So we also painted with dinosaurs, like did tracks. That was a hit. We did the paint with cars too. Another hit. Another tracing one. And then color the donut and add sprinkles. Wasn't that into it. Kind of rushed through. And then this, okay, he had been really enjoying these pages. And then all of a sudden he's like, don't want to do it. So I was kind of trying to take his lead. I don't want to push him. He's literally 3. Like, if he was older, you know, kind of say, sorry, you got to do it. Sorry, bro. But he's 3. I said, okay, we'll do it tomorrow. And we moved on. We did not go back to it currently. But then we did the letter S. So color the stars with an S. He did this all by himself. So I was super proud. And then this, believe it or not, is a snake that he colored. Can you see it under all that purple? And then circle what starts with S. So we went through everything, like star, yes. He circled it. Moon, and he'd go, no, and then he'd circle it. So I just let him do it because I didn't want to like overcorrect him. I kind of said, oh, we're only circling the sounds. But then he kept doing it, and I'm like, I'm not going to overcorrect. He's getting the correct answer. He just wants to circle. So that's me trying to like let him do his work. Just let him do his work. And then once again, kind of same situation. Didn't want to fill this out, but he loves going back to look at the old ones. So his dilemma, should I just go and fill it in without him? And then, I don't know, probably won't care. But. And then the last one is kind of a review, because this past week we were on a little vacation. Dad was off work. But he asked to do school, and he was going to ask. I said, well, why not? So I threw this together, and it is match the bug with the letter, and he did this all on his own. There's a lot of little squigglies got a little lost there because of the B and the D, which is super common to mix up. So overall, super proud of him for that, because that is 6 letters he knows now, or is like, I don't know, 80% with 6 letters, which is super exciting. I'm trying to just kind of go his pace, because when he started to not enjoy it, I think it was after B. Yeah, it was after B. So he knew W, A, B. I'm like, okay, we need to take a break from letters. We just kind of reviewed them loosely and then did other stuff for school, and then went back to it the next week. So yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys all next week. Bye.